Okay, we're live. Good evening and welcome to this second interview with Kathy. Kathy Price will be coming on shortly and she's going to just talk about her experiences of working with other professionals, other therapists, and how her energy work can have a beneficial effect on the horses. Combining the two modules together, but she's going to talk more details because that's her field, not mine, so she can explain more about it and give some examples. And we're just going to touch on how she worked with Toots and how I found it my end. And I was trying to be very observant from a neutral ground, so I can explain what happened, what was going on before, what happened afterwards, and what's going on at the minute. So I shall bring Kathy in and she can introduce herself for those of you that don't know her and have a chat. Hopefully the internet's going to be okay. There are a few little tweaks, so if we go off, we'll try and get back on, but bear with us. So here we go. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Ronnie. Thank you ever so much for inviting me back. That's very kind of you. So for those that don't know me, my name's Kathy Price, and I do a modality which I've named point of balance. And the whole point behind it is, for me, a system is healthy when it is in balance at every level. So that's physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I work hands off. I work mainly at distance, obviously at the moment, thanks to COVID, but I can work in, one-to-one with the horse or a person. And the theory behind my work, as I see it, is that I'm working in the field. So I connect through the field. Intention brings me to the animal that I'm working with, as we're talking horses here. If I'm not in person, so my intention is to be with that animal, to interact with its field, and then it's to help the animal itself find its way back into balance. So I prefer to know nothing about the animal at all, because then this doesn't get in the way. I don't start thinking, oh, it's got a bad back leg, therefore it needs. And I've got pretty good now that even if I do know something about the horse, or, maybe I've worked with it before, that I can sort of take myself out of the equation. And it's just literally helping the system I'm working with find its way back to balance, to remind it where balance is. I can't make the system move back to balance, but I can make it easier for it to find it. That's probably the easiest way to put it. So that's sort of my work in a very brief nutshell. But tonight, Ronnie has kindly invited me here, and we're going to talk about working with other practitioners, which is something I've done a fair bit of over the years. But the first thing I really want to say is everybody can do this work. And for me, if you think of anybody interacting with a child in particular that may have fallen over, what's the first thing you do? You put your hand over where they've hurt themselves. You might rub it or you hold it. And in some ways, that's counterintuitive, because if that area is hurting, why would you touch it? You'd only touch it because there's an energetic exchange. So for me, that's part and parcel of who we are. This isn't woo-woo. It is an actual physical thing, and we do it innately. So there's that part of it. The other part is, if somebody's upset, what do you want to do? Hug them. Yes, I know there are people out there who are totally don't want to be hugged, but the innate response, again, is to hold somebody. And there, again, you've got that exchange of energy. So that's the first part to think about, is that this is innate. There's nothing strange about it at all. And I believe that all of the modalities that we can find, ranging from everything, from, say, acupuncture, acupressure, shiatsu, massage, cranial osteopathy, anything which has an energetic component, right the way up to, through Reiki, Qigong, all of the different energetic modalities, up to where I'm working at. It's all about working in the field energetically, and everything has its place. There's nothing that's better than anything else. It's just what's appropriate for the system at the time. And, you know, as I just said, for me, I can't make anything happen. And I don't believe anything or anyone can make somebody heal. They can help, enhance, guide, any of those words that you want to use. But if they could make somebody or something heal, that's all you'd ever need. They could just come along and say, right, I'm going to make that person heal. I'm going to make that animal heal. Job done. And we all know it doesn't work. And it's the same with allopathic, with modern medicine. If modern medicine could make you better, you'd only need one drug. If everybody had a headache, you know, anybody had a headache, let's give them that one drug. We know the job's done. We all know that's not true. So for me, the only healer in the equation is the system itself. Nothing else, nobody else. And I really appreciate it's an easy term to use, you know, energy healing, you're a healer. But I really shy away from that personally, because for me, the only healer is always the system, and everything else is helping, facilitating. I look at myself as a facilitator or a catalyst, but I'm not a healer. So just wanted to get that sort of clear to begin with. So yeah, so I started working with other practitioners many years ago. Oh, goodness, probably about 10 or more. And the first time it happened, it was in person with a cranial osteopath who was working on a big horse, a big 17-2 Dutch warm blood, dressage prospect. He'd just come to this yard and he was not in a very good shape. So I asked him, would he be up for putting his hands on the horse and assessing? So I don't know how many people may have seen a cranial osteopath or chiropractor work, but usually they put their hands on and they feel where the horse might have problems, might need an adjustment. So something might be tight, you know, it might be the hindquarters, it might be the poll, it might be the shoulder, whatever. And they know that everything is related and interconnected. So this chap put his hands on, his face was a picture.
Oops.
Ooh.
I think we've lost you a little bit. You should come back, hopefully.
Horse wasn't in a very good shape. And he... Am I back? Hello, back. Hello.
Hello. I can just... Hello? You just froze, Kathy. I can just hear you vaguely.
How about now?
I can just hear you. I can hear you.
Hello?
If it does it, yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, well, I'll just go ahead on audio then,
yeah.
if you can't see me. But yes. Yeah,
no, I can see you.
So, oh dear, that's a shame. Never mind. So yeah, so this cranial, he put his hands on the horse and he sort of went, oh, because it didn't feel very good and he knew there was some work to do. So I said, well, if you're okay, I will just, my technical term for what I do is zap. Okay, it's much easier. And I say it's a session, not a treatment, because I don't know what I'm treating. So I never call it a treatment. I just call it a session.
Oops, you've frozen again. You've frozen.
Right. But can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It just goes off. But if it does it again, we maybe try just come out and then rejoin again, come back in. And sometimes that sort of, because it's not quite in sync, but that doesn't matter, as long as you can hear what you're saying.
Yeah. So anyway, so he put his hands on, he didn't like what he felt. I said, can I zap for a few minutes? And I worked hands off and the horse just went into the zone, you know, head down, droopy lips, really lapping it up. And this was a really interesting part, because once I stepped back after about 5-10 minutes, he went back in and put his hands on and he literally nearly jumped backwards because he said, oh my God. And his description was that the cells and the system had become alive. So he felt everything had been energized in those 10 minutes. And he said his words were, now I feel I can actually do some work and get into the tissues, if you like. So I just really so after that, I've worked with several shall I? It's understandable. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna.
Yeah. Do you want to?
I'm gonna.
Do you want to come out? That's it. Yeah. And then I'll bring it out. Okay. So Kathy's just popped off because her internet. Because mine looks okay this end, but she can sometimes see me freezing. So I don't know if it's. But she did say there's a problem. It's like it's not running as it normally does. So I just want to. As she spoke about the cranial, the horse. Somebody was there doing some cranial. Oh, here she's back again. Okay. Right, I'll bring you back in. Hi.
Hello. Is that any better?
Oh, fingers crossed.
We'll
Before
keep
you
going
go,
and try.
oh, actually, you was talking about the cranial part where the guy went in and he jumped back because he felt the energy. That's really interesting because another lady that I've done an interview with, she was talking about, so it was in a different format, but the person went in, the owner of the horse, and it literally was flown across the room because the energy was so, and that just went light bulb moment. So when you was talking about that, I've heard that before, but in a different format and slightly different, but it was the same scenarios. So would you like to carry on from that point? So we just got where he said it felt alive. He went in, he could feel that the energy, the cells were alive.
Yeah. So he then felt he could do much more work because he could access deeper into the system, if you like, because obviously cranial is hands-on and they're working with the primary flow and they're working with the different systems within the body. So because there was more energy within the system, he had more access. And I've worked with several, I think is the other terminology, and it's been consistent that either they've put their hands on, I've then zapped, and they've said to me, well, actually what I wanted to do has already been done, so now I can go on to the next layer. Or it's the zapping, inverted commas, has facilitated their access into the systems. It's always been this positive. I also work sometimes when, I'm just trying to think of an example, but I've got a therapist that comes here and this can just work in the background and help anything, to be quite honest. It's not about I've got to be able to work with that system, because this is in the field as well. My belief is that it helps any practitioner access what they need to access. And so I've worked with cranials. That's just sort of been how it's happened. But there's been one really interesting experiment that worked out. Years ago, there were two husband-wife cranial team that lived near me, and I knew them both. And the husband had worked with my old horse. They emigrated to New Zealand, and I kept in touch. And one day, the guy got in touch with me, and he said, right, I'm treating 6 riding for the disabled horses. And we decided to do an experiment where we do exactly the same as I just described, where he would put his hands on, assess the horse, step back, I'd zap for 5 minutes, and then he'd go and work. Now, bearing in mind, he's 12,000 miles away. And we did this over Facebook Messenger. So he'd just send me a message saying, I've put my hands on, I'd zap and say, right, I finished zapping. And he'd do his work. And then he'd say, I've put my hands on the neck. Forward.
I think we've lost you again.
Hello. I'm there. Are you back? Am I back?
I can hear you. I can hear you now. Yeah, I can hear you. Carry on. Carry on, trooper. Carry on.
Okay. Carry on, trooper. I'm going to keep going. Yeah, anyway, so he said, mix it up. Don't zap all the horses. And there were 6 of them. You randomly don't zap, whatever, and I'll see if I can pick it up. So long story short, I did not zap number 4. And when I actually worked with number 3, my hands nearly blew off the end of my arms. There was so much going on. So his report, which we didn't speak for 2 days later, we both made notes and then we spoke 2 days later. And his report was, I'm pretty sure you did number 1, but this was the first horse, so I wasn't quite sure what I was looking for. He said, you did number 2. He said, number 3, the changes were amazing. He said, you didn't do number 4. You did do number 5. And he said, I think you did number 6. And I think the reason number 6 might have been a bit doubtful was it was 2:30 in the morning with me by the time he finished, because he stopped for a cup of tea in the middle. And I was sitting at home going, hello, what's the time? Which was fine. But, it was 2:30. But regardless, he was absolutely clear. And what was so fascinating was he said about my hands felt in number 3, this massive energy. And that was the biggest change. And then number 4, I didn't do. So we were both sort of sat there scratching our heads going, how the hell does that work? But it obviously does. And that was a really interesting off the cuff experiment. And I know, scientists out there would say, well, it doesn't mean anything because it wasn't random, double blind and everything else. But for me, it was quite telling. And he was, we had nothing to prove to each other. We were just doing it out of interest. So for me, I never think of, as I said, a hierarchy of different modalities. They all have their place. They all work in different energy ranges. They all work in different manners. They all are appropriate, but it could be just that one may be more appropriate at one time than another. And for me, my modus operandi when I'm working with another practitioner is to facilitate. It's just to try and clear the way. So whatever they're doing becomes easier, becomes more efficient. And, that's it. I don't know what half of them are doing, the way that they work or anything like that. I don't know the mechanism of the cranial or anything like that. I mean, they are amazing. But it's just to, as I said, energize the system and the field. So yeah.
Well, I think that's you can't do a study in a scientific laboratory when you're working with horses anyway, especially if one's in Australia and you're in the UK. Yeah. But it's very different because you could do, if you was a machine and you had 2 machines doing this exactly the same thing, and it was calibrated, and it was the same routine, spot on. You've got a living energy the other side of being an animal or a human, and they're going to react how they need to react. They're going to react slightly differently. So it, like you said, you're not responsible, you're facilitating. But it's down to the energy, the person or the animal, how they receive it and how they process it. And I think most body workers and most professionals will say the same thing. But that was really interesting when you said about the guy jumped because he could feel the energy, because that's the conversation in my head
that you've had before. And it's interesting you saying that. You've also reminded me of 2 other sessions, one quite recently, where people saw flashes of light as the session was going on. Because I know one lady, I think it's on one of my testimonials actually, she I was in Norfolk and it was a distance, and she said there was this flash of light, and I think she and the cat sort of looked and they thought there might be somebody outside, and there was nothing. It was daylight, it wasn't as though it was the pitch black. And recently I'm sure someone else said the same. So again, whether it's because you're working in the field and you're working with the energy, whether there's like a discharge or something, like, who knows? I don't. But it is fascinating.
I always remember, I was thinking today actually, a friend was doing some work with me, and she's an animal communicator, but she works very much now with the human side now, and she works with the mind, and she's done loads of training, and she's really busy at the minute, which is brilliant. And she used to use me as a guinea pig. So she used me as a guinea pig to help me get over my block for getting on Toots, which is, that's done, that's gone. And it was so funny because she would be asking me questions, but before she asked me the question, says, I know what the answer is, or I don't know if I've said this before, but I say, I know what the answer is because
I'm aware of.
My body is reacting and it's getting uncomfortable. So I knew there was something she was going to ask me, and she hadn't asked the question yet. And I said, I can tell you what the answer is now. It's no. Because she would do like muscle testing, kinesiology. So I'd have to stand up before, but before I even did that, I said, the answer is no. And I don't know what your question is. So then she'd go, okay, I'll ask you the question. So she asked me the question, and then I said, okay, I'll show you. And then the answer was obviously, but your body sways. It does different things, but my body was swaying in a certain way, but I could feel so the energy of her thoughts, her question, before they even came into her head and was executed, was already traveling to my body, my energy field, and it was well aware of what needed to come, because spiritualists will say that what you need to do. Your psyche, your body knows what it has to do, how it needs to correct itself, or what it needs to change. So it's working with that. It's almost like we're just passengers. The human element is just passengers.
It's really interesting you say that. Yeah, because I used to work with a kinesiologist, and I so understand what you're saying, because it got to the stage exactly what you're saying. She used to test horses with horsehair, and I'd be the surrogate horse, if you like. And I would know exactly what after a while, because you really get into feeling the energy, I'd know whether it was a positive or negative before she'd done anything. But further on than that, there's been studies, haven't there, where they show have someone sat in front of a screen all wired up, and they show a series of images, and some of them are disturbing images, and the people react milliseconds before they see the actual image. So that's a scientific study. They've seen that. And I also read about a study recently, which was really interesting, talking about people working on the stock market. And they actually found that stockbrokers that were very connected, who maybe more spiritual, but had this connection, understood energy, if you like, they could, foresee which of the trades were going to drop. And they were the successful traders. So they could see just before. So if they looked at a certain, commodity or something like that, they had that intuition, that instinct that that's going to drop, even though nothing had happened, and they trade appropriately. And they were the most successful traders. So what you're saying, we're now seeing in various different realms as well.
Right. Let me just make a note. Stock trader.
Because get on the stock market now. Yes.
Oh, yes.
If you've made your fortune next week, let me know.
Don't you worry, you'll be the first to know. Oh, dear me. That's a really good example. So I'm just going to explain a little bit about so Toots. Obviously, in the last interview, we had only just met like a couple of weeks before, I think it was, or a few weeks before. And it was through an intuitive feeling of contacting you. And then it went on from there. And you kindly did a session with Toots, because I said that I was a bit concerned. So prior to then, what was going on? Because so Toots she never had an official diagnosis, but a vet came out quite a few years ago, because she's 20 now, and I've had her since she was 4, and said, she's got something called shivers, which is a neurological condition, but they don't know what causes it, and they don't really know a lot about it, even though I think I don't know if it's university is it Michigan in States, they're doing studies at the present, and they've been doing studies for a long time in that area. But anyway, up to present day, so she has this condition where she brings her leg up and she has this spasm. But since winter, she was struggling to actually to turn around in one direction and to move over. And she had mud fever, which was clearing up. So that did have a bit of an impact. But it was the way she was moving. She almost couldn't, she had to jolt forward to walk off. Now, once she was walking, she was okay, but it was very noticeable. And so I messaged you, and you kindly offered to do a session. And I took photographs. I mean, I take photographs anyway of her stance and how she looks. And then you did the session with her. So I think it was the next day or a couple of days later, I'd gone down and she'd already started to lift it. Oh, I forgot, I missed a bit out actually. I started to do clicker with her, sorry. I started to do a bit of clicker with her, and I was literally going around pointing to a foot and asking for a foot. But I was doing it very matter of fact, because I know if I hesitate and go, oh, she just won't do it. Now she still was struggling. She couldn't bring that foot up, and the trimmer didn't do her foot the last 2 times because it was just, no, don't worry, it's fine. She's okay at the minute. So I went round, I said, right, I'm going to do clicker. And I just pointed her foot, she'd lift it. Now, when she got to her shiver leg, the leg that was the problem, she still couldn't lift it up. But then she started to, almost like, here you go, and back down. So she was trying, bless her. And what my view was with the clicker, because I just do that myself, it's something I've used now and then, is getting her mind to focus. So she go, okay, I know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm focusing on my leg, lifting my leg. So she was doing this, but after your session, literally the next day, I did the same thing, and each leg she lifted up with no problem. And there was no shiver, which was the most amazing thing. I think that was a few days later. There was no shiver. She lifted it up and she put it down gently. And I was like, okay. And she actually, for the first time, had both her legs together. Now, Toots has always stood slightly under with her back legs, almost like she's sort of, she's about to do a roll back. So she's always stood like that for a long time, for many years. So the fact that she was stood square for Toots, square, legs down, how they should be, was like, so I took pictures and sent you them, didn't I?
You did indeed, yes, thank you.
And then she was progressing each day, but she no longer had this really, I call it a scissors stand, where they stand like that at the back legs. And she could move over, and there was no stickiness. So I just found that amazing. I thought that was just brilliant, because I wanted to get her body work done on her, but I knew because of that was quite a big thing, and you'd almost have to do go somewhere else before you could get to that area, and that was what I was concerned about. So the fact that had changed, I thought, right, now she can have some body work. But she was processing it for the next couple of weeks, I think, because that happened on the 26th of March. So it's been 6 weeks now, and last weekend she had a little bit of body work. My friend has students on the horses, and they use some of the horses, which is lovely. So they get treated, they get a bit of TLC, and one of them did too. So she had a little bit done. So she still is processing it, but I think in my head, when I was observing her, so I was doing it as like, I was trying not to be the owner, I was just looking at it
dispassionately.
Yeah,
yes.
that's it. And so the change though was so it was just so you couldn't miss it. I can't explain it. I just could not miss that. That was a big change. And then you can see her adjust. You can see her working with that. But I also know if something's been working if your body's been moving in a certain way for a long time, it gets used to that movement. So when there's changes, or sometimes they almost go forward, but then they can, I don't know if a slip back's the right word, but the Does that make sense to you, or does that?
No, I think what you're saying, I understand, because you have, muscle memory. You have if we go to somebody where they put us into the correct position, we can feel really good, and then we can quietly slip back to where we were, and then but for me, the most amazing thing, and this is where I always go to, is whether I'm working with a person or a horse or a dog or whatever. If there is improvement, to me, that shows that improvement can happen. So even if they slide back a bit, it's a case, and a lot of people, not a lot of people, but people have reported that they feel better, and then a few days later they go, oh, I'm not so sure now. And I always remind them, but you've actually did step into that, and I didn't do it, you did that, you got yourself into that, so it is possible. And that can sometimes change them, because if something reminds them, just like you're saying, of where they used to be, which used to be their norm, it's very easy to slip back into that. That is the norm. That's the way the system understands, if you like. That is how Toots used to move, or how this person used to feel. So I think it's a case of reminding the system, no, you can actually look what you were like last week. That wasn't magic. That you were like that last week. And so, I totally understand what you're saying.
Yeah, yes, definitely. And we do, I think when we see a change, I mean, that was a big change. It wasn't a case, oh, didn't I see that? It was excuse my language, it was a bloody big change. She could not put her legs together for a few seconds, and her stance, but it's how she stands. So when she's eating, she's got her head down. Or when she's got hay net, it's a different position, and it puts the spine and it puts the body in a slightly different position. And I'm aware, because I look at her so often, I know how she normally stands, whether her head's down, whether her head's up. But her legs were together. They were just vertical. I mean, they have sort of slightly gone forward again, but that's so. For me, that's still a change, and I'm not thinking, oh, it's not worked. I'm just thinking, no, this change is still going on, and she will need some assistance with bodily work, some more body work and stuff. That's really weird. She's just tapped into me and says, you need to be doing this. Oh my goodness. Okay, she's talking to me.
Right, so okay. You can just give me her, you can give us all her wisdom.
She's telling me now, it's really funny, because I did a massage course a couple of years ago, and I've done very little with it, and it's because most people that call me know me for this, and I did do a little bit, and I've been thinking, I need to go. I think I'm just going to have a refresher, but she's just said,
she's telling you, come and refresh on me.
She's just said that you need to do this, and but
that's
but
cool.
I don't think she's just referring to it. So she's telling me, but when horses communicate, they tell you, but it's what they don't tell you, and it's the silence bit. It's the meaning behind that phrase. Like if you send somebody a text, you're thinking, well, what does that mean? It could mean that. It could mean that. But the energy with the few words has has something else added to it. So I get what she's saying now. So funny. Thank you, Toots.
I love it.
Okay, I wasn't expecting that. So I'm the fact that you connected, and there was that big change. It was literally the next day, and I kept thinking, okay, and I was still doing, lift your leg, and I was doing that, and then I went around the other way. I was going leg, and I go, she'd lift a leg, and I'd cluck it, good girl, leg, good girl, leg, and then we went around the other way, because the first time I did it, she was like, so I thought, okay, well, I'll do it quicker. If I do it slowly, she I have to really go in matter of fact and do it that way. And then she's doing it. The quicker I am, the easier it is for her. If I hesitate in, she just, it's almost like she switches off.
That's interesting. Yeah. Is that with every leg or the back, just that back leg or the back legs that's switching off?
No, it's when I get to the leg that I'm normally, because that's the leg that my head is already thinking,
yeah.
So I've stopped to say,
Is it going to work?
Yeah, I almost have to, and that's why I have to do it quick so my head doesn't have a chance to
catch up. Yeah.
to interfere. But yeah, so I'm still so grateful. And
well,
she is
my
still,
absolute pleasure. And it just blows my brain still. It really does. I'll never get complacent about it, because it's that's what makes it all worthwhile, is when I get a story like this, because obviously I can't guarantee what's going to happen with anybody or any animal or anything in that respect, because I can't dictate. This is the thing about, I can't make something happen. But when something like that does happen, that's quite profound in some ways, like you saw that change straight away. And I've had people who literally the next day say they've been depressed, the next day it's gone. And it just blows my brain. It really does. I know the possibility is there. I know it happens. And I sort of say, my experience is my truth. I might not be able to explain it in scientific language yet, but I can't deny what happens. I can't. And just, it's so lovely to have feedback, like you've given me, because it does sort of, there's many a day when I think, what on earth am I doing? Who am I? Why am I doing this? And so, when I hear a story like this, and, thankfully people do feedback some lovely things, and it just, I'm so lucky that my passion is my work. That's the way I look at it.
But we do, I think I was trying to say, but I diverted, I went off. I digressed rather. We expect, especially if we see something, our head almost wants to see that going up, that continual amount of change. And then when we don't, it's like, oh. So because I'm aware of how my I don't mean that egotistical, I'm aware how my thoughts interrupt what should be going through my head. And I almost have like a conversation, like you said, remember 2 weeks ago, she couldn't side pass that way. She couldn't turn the opposite direction. She was struggling. Now she's clicking like a trooper. She's got arthritis, But for me, it was that, because, and it was a shudder. It was the spasm. There was no spasm. Now that has come back a little bit again. But like you said, I've got to remind Toots that you did that. You was okay, and you was no spasm. So remember that. And for whatever reason, because horses have their own amount of stuff that they're prepared to let go of, and their own it's not agenda, their own reason for holding on. And it's not like others' thoughts. It's maybe it's protection. Maybe she holds on to that. She As an example, if an animal changes and they are absolutely fine, then what's expected of them? Are they expected to go off and do a cross country, or I've got dreams, or in my head, and she's thinking she might want to do that. Now it's not like a consciously sat there thinking, but if I get better, she'll want to ride me. She's not sat at the top of the field with a cigarette thinking, oh, perhaps not. But on an energy level, on an energy level, there may be some residue in there to do with that. Because even though I try not to have a gender, there's part of me, my body, that's giving off that vibe that there may be, if I see hope in there. So there's so many elements to include that. You have to think about that. So if there's a change in your horse, you acknowledge it. And that's one thing I was doing, actually, which I hadn't done the last week. I was going, I see that, Toots. I see the change. And I'm so proud of you. actually, yeah, that's just come to me. I was saying to her, I can see that change. I can see that change. Yeah.
Yes. So your energy every time you were with her was giving her that message, because I mean they are they are purely energetic, so that whatever we bring forward in energy is what they see and what they hear.
Mm.
They're the words. We can say words with an energy, but inherently it's what's inside us. We might come with a big smile on our face, and inside we're going, oh God, I had an argument with so and so yesterday, and they'll go, no, I don't think so today, thank you very much. Whereas, like you said, and even for me, that if you go up to the field and sort of say, look, I've had an absolutely horrible day, I apologize, I might not, I might be feeling a bit jangly, but to me that's much more acceptable than trying to hide who you are, not have that authenticity. But so yeah, I understand what you're saying, that if you maybe that's the change that she's picked up on, who knows.
Yeah, so I'll have to ask her what's going on now then with me.
Yes, ask the horse to help you. That's a really good one. Yeah.
But there's also not a time. There's a good friend said to me once, when she doesn't like the word healers, and I don't particularly, because it says something else, but it's hard to
I know, find another expression.
a name.
Yeah.
And she said that you can work with something and it's changed and it's been released, but there's almost like a backlog sometimes of similar
Right.
residue that comes to the surface, which shows a similar symptom. So the person thinks, well, it's not gone away, it's there again. It hasn't, because that bit's gone. It's not there. Once it's changed, it's changed. However, there is something similar there, and that's come to the surface. And she also says that a person can say to you, I want to be okay, I want you, I want to do this, but for reasons that is in your subconscious or your unconscious, it might be that you need that as a protection, because if you're free of this, what will that mean? Will it mean that you might actually be able to change your life? You might be able to do things that you only dreamt of. And would you want to? Because it could be scary. And that's what I was saying earlier about animals. Again, this is just my theory. It's not, I can't prove this. But, and she said, people sometimes think, well, it's not worked, it's back again. Actually, it's not. It's another symptom, because you need to think, what is that telling you? Reiki, when I first did Reiki all those years ago, I remember saying, why do what's the payment thing? Because I always had a thing about accepting money. Even for this, it was very difficult to take money. But if you think of it in exchange of energy, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I can remember somebody saying about, if you go around curing people, then why would they change? They'll carry on doing what they do. They carry on smoking. They carry on, whatever it is they do that's unhealthy. So why would they want to change? They'll just go back to you, say, can you cure me again? Now I don't mean that.
I understand what you're saying, that if you make it too easy, if you like, But
it is, because if we don't recognize what we need to change within ourselves as humans, there will always be something else that comes forward. There will always be something else, like the back pain. That's a whole
that's a whole nother discussion, isn't it? But I think you're right, because it is like peeling layers off an onion. So you get that first layer and then you get to the next layer, and I've often heard that sort of analogy with a cranial osteopath, that they'll do one layer and then they can get deeper down and go to the next and go to the next. And my philosophy or way of working is, I want to go to root cause. I want to go to root cause, and it's not about the symptoms. So my intention, even though I don't know anything about, sometimes I don't know where they are in the world, literally they're in Australia or something, but my intention is for say it's a horse, to find the way back into balance at root level. It's not about just making that back leg better or whatever it might be, that symptom disappear. Go root, go as deep as you need to go to find that root cause, because then everything clears. You haven't got the layering going on, but that's in a perfect scenario. You know, you can't dictate that.
No.
So, oh God, it's a big subject.
It is. It is. At least the internet's holding out. Fingers crossed. That's brilliant.
Touch. Shh, shh. Might be the energy.
Absolutely. Well, I was sending vibes, so perhaps it's kicked in now. Oh dear. So
well done. You cured the internet.
I'm looking to see if I've got any. Nobody's. So Martha said hi. I posted it on earlier.
Hi.
But I haven't got any questions because it's not. There may be some on the YouTube channel because I'm actually on my StreamYard. I can't see. Oh, here we go. Oh, okay. So I don't know who this is because they're obviously coming through Facebook, and you have to give permission for StreamYard to use their profile. But I'll put that on so you can see that. So thank you, whoever this is.
It's hard to get it to go completely, but I was trying to change the way each client. Yeah. And I think that's the art. Yeah. That's the art and the philosophy, because it's just what you were saying earlier on, in that it's not one size fits all. Every animal comes with a different, or every person with a different layering system. And so you have to be open to change the way that you work, if you like. And you know, as I said, I'm always aiming to go to root cause, but you might get those levels coming down. So it might be why somebody gets partially better, you know, feels a bit better, or feels better and then doesn't feel better. You know, it's all to do, but that's absolutely spot on.
Yeah. Oh, it's Doug. Here we go. Doug.
Hello, Doug.
Doug. So he's a lovely guy. He's an instructor. And yeah, he's a lovely guy. Hi, Doug. Thank you for coming on. That's a really good question.
So what modality, what does Doug do?
So Doug, do you want to explain? If I knew you was coming on, you could have joined us live. That would have been fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're near your computer, Doug, would you like to pop on? You might need some headphones. So if you're near your laptop and you've got some headphones, I can send you a link and you can pop on for a little while. But if not, just explain a little bit and then I'll post it of what you do in your words. So but wait, just see.
Going back to what you were saying about people holding on to something because subconsciously, you know, they're saying they want to get better, but subconsciously, there was a wonderful story when I was studying with Eric Pearl, Reconnective Healing. One of his first experiences when he was working in this modality, when he didn't really know what he was doing, he knew he could do things, but you know, it was very new. He found a lot of people, now don't quote me, and I'm sure it's in his book, but say they were coming with rheumatoid arthritis or some form of arthritis or whatever it was, and nothing was working. And he was having several clients, one after the other, with the same symptoms and the same problem, and it wasn't working. So he, in his own mind, had clocked, okay, whatever I'm doing doesn't work with that. And it was only subsequent to that he found out there was some class litigation or something going on, where these people had to go to as many different modalities, treatments, whatever, and prove they couldn't get better. And then they were going to be awarded some money. Okay. So I don't think it was rheumatoid arthritis, but it was something, whether it was a poisoning or whatever. And so there you can see how they were holding on because there was a benefit at the end. I mean, that's the outward appearance anyway. But that's what he told us a story, was that they all had the same symptoms. Nothing he did worked. And he literally thought, okay, what I do doesn't work for that. And it was only subsequent. So, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so are you happy for Doug to join if I can get him in for a few minutes?
Oh, gosh, yes.
So
please.
he's on his iPad. So, Doug, I'm going to send you a link. But you'll have to use it through Google Chrome, I think, because I'm not sure. Anyway, if you can't get on, That's fine. But I'm going to send you a link. If I can do that. Hang on a second. So you carry on talking while I do this, Kathy.
Okay. Let's see. What should we talk about? What should we talk about? Well, I'm going to say a quick thing, slightly off subject, but well, not really, about something else I do called the awakening, as we're talking about connection.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because the awakening is a once in a lifetime process, and it's all about connecting within and without. It's enhancing connection, and it can be done at distance or in person, and it's 2 sessions, usually 24 hours apart. And it's exactly what it says on the packet, in that it awakens your connection. So people, I had the most amazing letter today about a lady in Washington who had the awakening about 3 weeks ago, and the coincidences and the things that started happening on the second day of that she had it just blew my brain. There were so many. She saw my name, Price, on a car number plate, and there were just so many different things. Every book that she picked up had the word awakening in, and it was like, yes, she's in the right place doing the right thing, whatever. I mean, it was fantastic. But I think we live in a world now where disconnect is the name of the game, in the sense, especially in Western culture. And I'm trying to really study into Aboriginal cultures to see what their practices were, because to me, they are the advanced people. They're the ones that know how to connect to nature, are at one. They connect within and they connect without. And we have 5 senses that we name, the sight, hearing, smell, etc. All of those are about us connecting to something outside. None of it is about looking inside, connecting to how we feel. Just what you're saying, Ronnie, you connect to what you feel inside. When Toots is talking to you, or one of the animals, you're listening internally. You're not sort of feeling something out there. You've gone in and are aware what you're picking up. And to me, we, as a Western society, that's completely lost. So for me, the awakening is a starting point or an enhancement of that connection. And when we can truly connect inside to every part of ourselves, as much as connecting up to the universe, the earth, for me, the universe is contained within whatever, then everything becomes much more clear. Everything becomes easier. So yeah, that's the other side of my work as well.
So is that a 2-day thing, did you say?
Yeah, it's just 2 sessions. So it's sort of 2, if you allowed an hour, 2 days apart, a day apart.
Yeah.
And it's, it was phenomenal when I had it done, because I had very little energy work done on me, and when I had it done, it was like, oh my God, the night between the 2 sessions was quite the event it was. But that, I think, was because I hadn't had anything before then, so it was like in at the deep end. But yeah, it's amazing the number of people that are finding me now to do that, because I think there is a real want for that connection.
It's funny, when I first looked at your website, and I said I saw the symbols, I thought, oh, here we go. And I looked at that, and then I thought, oh, I want that. And then I thought, when you just want to go from A to Z or Z,
yes,
and miss the middle bits, but sometimes missing the middle bits is the learning. And I was thinking, do I want to do that because I think I can fast track somewhere and avoid what I need to do? Or do I want to do that because I think I need to do that? So I have conversation with myself.
I think you're wise. I think you're wise, because it's the journey, not the end point, isn't it? So that, as you said, you need to experience all you need to experience.
Yeah.
And if it leads to that in the end, fair enough. But if it doesn't, fair enough as well.
Yeah. But so part of me was like, oh, I want to just do that. And then it's like, but why do you want to? And I remember Warwick Schiller said something on one of his podcasts, and he said, when he used to post things, he'd post things, stories and what he'd done with the horses and stuff. And now he questions himself, am I posting this because I can't know, how did he phrase it?
He said, am I posting it because I want a reaction, or as I that I'm getting the feedback, for this post that I've put up, or am I posting it for the altruistic reasons that I want to help people, or it's got a point to be posted. I think that's what he was saying.
Yeah. So, and I
he was being aware.
And and I think that's it. Just if you're aware of why you're doing something, even if you're not doing it as you would hope, it's the awareness, because the awareness is the feel, and that takes you down that route. And it's the more you learn and the more open, or is it open? It sounds like everybody's closed and you're open. I don't mean it that way, but the more you become like that, sometimes the harder it is, because you're thinking, oh, for God's sake.
I know.
I just want to go down that road. Now I've got 4 roads to choose from.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, I think what you said there was so pertinent, that for me, change can only happen with awareness. And it's whether it's a habit that you're in and you can stop yourself in that moment and say, oh, I'm doing that again, or it's a reaction. Because as we all know, patterns build up during childhood or whatever, especially when trauma is involved, and we instinctively go to almost a knee-jerk reaction, or we interpret something in a certain way, even though it's not meant that way, because of past experience. And I know I've worked with several people, and it's a case of, when you get that awareness of where that pattern has come from, that's the moment you can go, I don't need to do that, because I know where it's come from. So I think awareness is the key to change.
And when because when Amanda, my friend, was working with me, Doug's trying to get on, I think.
Oh, good man.
Sent me a link. Oh, I thought I'd sent to me. Obviously, I haven't sent to me. Hang on, Doug. I'm so technical minded. It's all real. Hang on in there, Doug. I thought I sent you it. If I send it to somebody else,
someone else is going to join in.
Oh dear. Let's have a look. Oh, maybe it's because, let me just see. Maybe it's because once you're, it's a different link. Once you're live, let me just try this one. I'm just going to send you another one and see if you can get on with this one. If not, then maybe that's why. Maybe once you go live, then it, because I can add people in, the green room where you was.
Yeah.
I can add people there and then bring them in. So maybe that's how you have to do it. So that's good to know, because I didn't know that.
See, you just learned something. Yes.
I've forgotten what I was going to say now. What was I saying before?
We talked about awareness and change and.
Oh yeah. So when Amanda was working with me.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And my block, I call it, to getting on to Toots, I knew that it wasn't anything particularly to do with horses, although that's how it manifested. It was something stopping me. And it was, to me, anytime I get a block, it's about moving forward. So if I get to a place and then I stay there because I've got used to it. He's here.
Yay!
Hi, Doug. I'll bring you in a second. So if I stop moving forward and I stay where I am, then something happens with my car, or something, something. Because my car is an extension of me, and I go, okay, what am I not doing? So I get messages all the time, and it's like, you've got to keep moving forward. And if you think about energy flow, it doesn't stay still; it moves continually. It's not. It's
never stagnant. Yeah.
Okay, so here's Doug. Are you ready, sweetie? I'm bringing you in. Let's hope it works. Okay, so.
Hello.
Yay! Hiya.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Do you want to tell Kathy and everybody what it is you do, Doug?
Please.
I'm a freelance sort of trainer, instructor, coach person, and I work with all sorts of people, from children, tiny children, through to OAPs, and every ability, from people who just want to be able to hack through to I've got para riders and people who
cool.
compete nationally, internationally. And I've always been quite well known for working with the problem horses. I don't think they're a problem, but
Yeah.
normally it's the riders.
I was going to say, and therein lies the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just when you were saying about the residual energy, about things, people letting go of stuff, it sort of really resonated because I spend a lot of time. As Ronnie knows, we often go to the same camps, like summer camps for riders. And Ronnie works with the horses while I'm out on the cross country course normally. And it's really interesting because a lot of times I'll hear what Ronnie said about the horses and I'll really know that about them.
Yeah.
Because of the way they go with their riders. And it's really, I find what Ronnie does fascinating. But we've always although we haven't known each other a long time, we've always just immediately clicked, haven't we, Ronnie? We just immediately we met one another, we just liked one another and clicked. And it's sort of I'm fascinated by all this because I think that a lot of people don't give enough credence to it, that actually the connection and the soul part of themselves is as important as being technically good at something. Like the bit that got me with the residual part, I wrote down that I work with people quite a lot that have a lot to let go of, and I think I'm quite good at it now because I had a lot to let go of myself at one point. Ronnie knows I had a really hard time a few years ago, like really hard time, and it was actually nothing to do with the horses at all, but I decided that I was absolutely awful and couldn't. Why would anyone want a lesson with me? Why would anyone want me to ride their horse? Why would no? And I had to let go of stuff outside. So I now, when you say about the people having these layers of things going on, I want to say that and sometimes it's nothing to do with their horse. It's nothing to do with them as a rider. It can be to do with something completely separate from that part of their life. And once you realise that, I mean, I've got a lady who, for years and years, I struggled to get her to get around to show jumping course. She's perfectly capable. She rides beautifully. Horse is lovely. She's an instructor herself, so she knows all the stuff. And I could not get her to get round across a 60, 70 centimetre show jump course, which the horse could trot over without stopping at every other fence. And she wouldn't jump with a wall in there. If there was a water tray, that's it, and gone. and the horse would go over it fine, but she wouldn't. And then I had her for a session, in a group session, and we only had a couple of stops, which was like, she's called Paula, she wouldn't mind me saying, because she's amazing. And I was like, Paula, brilliant, you've done a fantastic job. And then she came for a private lesson the week after, and it was at a venue she'd not been at. There was a wall in the course, there was a small water tray in the course, and I said, right, let's go from where we were last week. And she jumped straight round the course. First time. And there's a picture of me going, yes! And I nearly cried. I was so proud of her, I nearly cried. Because I just said, that's it. We did 10 minutes and she did this. And I said, let's go for a walk around the cross country course. And we went for a walk. And then she told me for the past 3 years, she'd been caring for her very ill mother. And her mum had died the week before the first lesson. And all the responsibility had gone off her shoulders.
Yeah.
And I said, why didn't you ever tell me that? But there's something we don't, and I know I don't. I kept all my stuff. I deal with it. I'll deal with it on my own, and then you can't.
Yeah.
And it just, that bit resonated with me about the layers, because it was actually layers of other things in her life that was stopping her from progressing.
Yeah.
And
as you said,
she's let go of all those things.
It's
is that she's let go.
to do
Oh, we've all...
with the horse.
Oops.
Since then, she's let go of all this stuff.
I'm
That
back.
Yeah, you're back. Keep going, girl. We're nearly there.
Yeah. Keep going, Doug. Yeah.
That mare that she rode went out, and the next year, within 6 months, she'd done a 1-day event, and then she'd gone up a level within 2 events. And like I was just like, because she'd let go of that stuff in her other bit of her life.
Yeah.
And then now she's taken on and she's bought herself a young event horse. Like,
Wow.
and because it wasn't her riding that was stopping her, it was everything else, because she had these other, and you don't, I think because I teach so many people, and some people I see once or twice a year because of these camps, and you don't get to know them that well. So I think that's why I always take time to talk to the riders about them and sort of how much they can do, how much they want to do. So getting to know them, I think, is really important.
And you're very good at that anyway, Doug. You're quite a sensitive soul, and
sensitive sometimes.
And but we're all like that.
Yeah.
Toots would say, "Sod off, sort yourself out."
But then yeah. But then I also have the thing that and I think probably Ronnie, you've seen pictures of me or seen me come back from the cross country where I'm dripping wet because I've walked horses through the water in my trainers and things. Because the riders might not let go, but the horses will. And so I have to show the riders that the horses are okay about all this. And I spend a lot of time teaching people to slow down, to breathe, to picture what they want in their head, to use imagery, which I think you touched on earlier when you're chatting, like if you picture things happening, they do tend to happen. Whereas even if you've got something in your head that you're trying to hide, it tends to happen. Like I'll say to people, right, if you think they're going to stop, they're going to stop.
Guess what they're going to do?
Because you're saying, okay, I've got to stop them stopping. So you stop them. I said, whereas if you picture and change the wording to being, I'm going to jump the fence, not I'm going to stop them stopping, it completely changes how the riders and the horse and the outcome of it is incredible. And so that's what fascinated. Like when you were talking, I was like, "Yep, I completely."
You recognise all that.
You're really good for coming in, Doug. You're so brave. Thank you so much.
That's wonderful, and I just love it because I love that story about Paula. I mean, that is so eloquent of how somebody, the effect on their performance, inverted commas, from something that's not related. And then you were saying about I'm going to stop the horse stopping. As you said, I mean, that's the energy that horse is picking up. Stop.
It's a negative.
Stop. Yeah. Whereas you said you change it to go. And the other thing I quickly want to say is I've just read a little article or something on this about sensitivity. Nobody can be too sensitive. All it is that you might need to ground a bit more. But the sensitivity is the gift, as far as I'm concerned, because that is about being connected. A sensitive person picks stuff up, and it's just how you handle it that might need the change. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy.
The other thing I just wanted to say was that you were saying about people putting like things on Facebook and showing like pictures and things of what they've done, and I find that really hard. I've had to do it recently. I lost my complete business. I work as an entertainer as well, so with COVID restrictions, I lost my income completely. And I'm now living in Ireland at my parents', and so trying to rebuild a business here. So I'm having to sort of do a bit of self-promotion, which I hate. I absolutely I hate it. I just can't. I would rather what I ask people to do normally is if I've done something nice to their horse, if you want to put it on and tag me in it, that's
fine. Yeah.
I hate doing the look how me, but I'm doing it at the moment. And actually for me, I have put lots of pictures and little videos on just recently. So
I'm just sorry, I'm just looking. Somebody's put a comment on, and I don't know who it is. Love listening to you all. It's so true. It's so about the riders and not always the horses. Teaching the question to be more like the horse.
Yeah.
So thank you, whoever that is, for your comment. That's really kind of you to send one. Go on, Doug.
Sorry, I've lost where I was going then.
You were rebuilding your business in Ireland.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you were on about.
I put it on, and it's actually been really good for me because Ronnie knows all this, and I'm not worried about saying it. I had a breakdown, like quite a bad breakdown, a few years ago, and I did lose my confidence completely. Like I know when I'm teaching things, I'm the person with the most knowledge generally about the horses, about how techniques, about what to use, but when that happens and you lose your confidence, it's a horrible thing to do. And then rebuilding it is like rebuilding the layers again, trying to be in a positive way and having people believe in you. And actually Ronnie was actually quite instrumental in me believing in myself again. So because she sent me a message one day just out of the blue, and she put, I hope you don't mind me sending this. And I was like, no, of course I don't mind. And it was lovely. And I still got it, and I saved it. And it's one of the things I read again when I need a boost. And so putting all these pictures on has given me for me, although it is promoting my business, it's also been a lovely thing for me to do, to realize that, God, I've done some amazing things.
Yes, you have.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I think that's there's a person I know who works as a confidence coach within the within the equestrian world, Jane Pike. And those little voices, she calls it the itty bitty shitty committee, the IBSC. And I just think that is such a good name, because they're there going and they're the ones we have to shut up. So yeah.
One of the ones I put on some pictures earlier of a horse called Ralph, who just after I had a breakdown, one of my friends asked me if I'd back him for it, and I was going, why would they want me to back him? And it was those people believing in me again that gave me confidence back. And people and it was really strange how suddenly, after a year after it all happened and I thought I was rubbish, suddenly all these people started messaging me and saying, oh, that lesson you gave me changed completely the way I think about stuff, and this, that, and I had like message after message, and for no reason. There was no reason for these people to message me.
No reason, yeah. I'm
but
sorry.
I
know what you mean, but yeah.
But at the time, I was like, why couldn't they do it last year when I felt really bad? But suddenly, but I wasn't ready. I wouldn't have listened.
Yeah. And your energy was that place to attract it as well.
Yeah.
Doug, can I just ask you, did you, so obviously you're around horses, it's quite vague. When you was young boy, did you have a pony?
I didn't have my own ponies. So I started riding when I was 5.
Okay.
I begged and borrowed any pony that would, pretty much.
If I say to you the energy of this pony or this horse, because there's one just coming as you were talking, he was a bit of a cheeky chap, and he would have been maybe nipping, and he would test the patience, but he when he did something, he put his heart and soul into it. And so if this doesn't make any sense, just say no, okay?
Do you know what? As soon as you started talking, I thought of a pony, and he's called Sydney. And as soon as he said nipping, I'm like, yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
Because what I'm getting of the energy, and I get goose, like my back's cold now. So when somebody comes in, so the energy of this horse is very different now, and he's very strong and self-assured, and I almost want to just roll my neck like, you know, the big horses when they roll their neck and they're standing there and his chest, excuse me, his chest is out there. And
There's
I
nothing for me,
feel,
Ronnie.
I know, sorry, darling. That's why we get on so well.
I love it.
And the strength that's coming through is very, very still, and it's very unassuming, but it's very powerful. And what I'm being told to say to you is, this is an energy that you can harness, because if you can connect to him as you just connected to him now, as I've said the words, what he is now, what the energy is now is very different. And that's the energy they're wanting to give to you, Doug. So after you come off, I want you to sit in that energy of the one that you remember, but I want you to feel it morphing into the energy that it is now, because that is going to give you what you need for your next step. Okay. So don't overthink about it. If you're not getting it, if it doesn't feel, that's absolutely fine, but just sit with it.
Okay.
And see what happens, because I've got the shakes now. Because I'm feeling my knees are like jelly. I'm feeling your energy, and he's you need to ground that. But he's when I say I mean I when they come through, they show me how they are, but it's more of they show me it like it's literally solid, absolutely solid, and solid in their conviction. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's solid in their conviction. And this energy is going to push you with you to where you need to go. Okay. So you have and I want to put my shoulders up and I want to sit there. This is me. This is who I am. And that's okay. You know, that's it.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So let me know how you get on with that. Do you want to say a quick word before you go, sweetie?
No, that's fine. It's really nice to talk to you both.
No, thank you.
It's wonderful meeting you. Thank you, Doug.
Doug, thank you for being brave and coming on.
That's right.
And the internet's still working.
Yay! Couple of glitches, but not too bad.
I'm in the middle of nowhere. Lucky anything's working at the
minute. Okay, sweet. So I'll catch up with you soon.
Nice to meet you, Kathy.
And you. Take care, Doug. Thank you.
Oh, that was so cool. That was so good
of
him.
Perfect.
Somebody else put another comment on. Oh, I think I put that one on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, well, thanks for that. Anyway, it sort of
fabulous.
It was like a cog to start with, and then it a bit of momentum.
It got going then. It got going. No, that's so cool.
Kathy, would you like to say anything before you go, or
No, well, just thank you. And I mean, I'm so grateful for you. You know, you said about me giving Toots session, but I'm so grateful for you for your input with my beautiful mare Teasel, because that's been very helpful, and I'm very, very grateful for it, because it's always spot on. She knows me too well, and it's always sort of quite an ethereal message that she brings. It's not sort of I need my feet done or that. It's going now, you know, the work you're looking at the moment, well, now just sit with it and just like, oh my God, my horse is my work manager now. But no, I'm really grateful for it. And I just, to sort of round up, what I love about all of this is we've looked at the way our energy affects the horses. And for me, there's never a bad horse. Everything a horse does is a message to us to say, you know, something's not right. It's the only way they can, whether they buck or rear or kick or whatever. For me, it's them just giving us that message. And then when we can be, you know, more like you, open and listening and hearing and stable in our own energy, I think that's when the magic can happen. So it's been brilliant, because we've come in on energy from all different ways now in this discussion.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've really enjoyed this, but please don't think that it's so different with your own. And if I could come at it from you know, from seeing your, you know, communicating the way I do with your horse, and it is so different. So I'm I have no illusions how difficult it is for people when I explain, because it is different, but it's not impossible.
No.
And the thing is, what horses say to me is they don't have to be perfect, and they don't have to, you know, as long as they're not in severe pain, you know, it doesn't matter if they've got 3 legs. Well, it does really, but it's that they're heard, that they're listened to.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter that the person that's listening doesn't know what to do, because they will help them. And it's not about fixing, and it's not about putting things right. It's just having a voice, having a voice. And as Doug said earlier, you know, he went through a really hard time, and he's so strong. He's such a strong to go through what he did and come out the other end. But sometimes you feel that nobody's listening to you. Who'd want to listen to you?
Yeah.
Why would anybody want to listen? And the horses feel like that sometimes, you know. Why bother? Why bother? Because I'm not going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And when they realise that actually they are, that almost changes things. And it's like, do you know, that's it. That's great. I've been heard. I can go off now and munch the hay, and I've been heard. And that might be just what they need to do.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you so much for coming on again.
My pleasure. Absolute pleasure. I love our chats.
I definitely like to do this again.
Yes,
maybe
please.
Wait a little bit, and maybe get some more people.
Yeah,
it'd be nice
absolutely.
To have you. I have a few people in mind, and you might have some people. Try and get a few.
I'd love it.
And have a proper good old chinwag.
Yeah. Well, we haven't done bad today either.
No, we haven't. And so nice that Doug was so brave to come in. That was really good.
I know. Fair play to him.
Oh, well, I'm going to put you out, Kathy, but if you hang on, and then I'll just have a quick chat afterwards.
Yeah, lovely. Well, thank you. And thank you to everyone out there.
So, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Sorry about the first, I think it was 15 minutes or so. There was a bit of a problem with the internet, which there is sometimes, but we carried on, and Kathy came back in, but it just sort of stopped the flow. I hope you enjoyed it. If you've got any questions for Kathy or myself, I'll put a link in afterwards. Please feel free to contact Kathy on her webpage or a Facebook page, Point of Balance. And myself, you can contact me through my YouTube channel, Equine Voices UK, or my Facebook page. And thank you so much, Doug, again for coming on. That was lovely, and it was so nice to talk to you face to face, even if it's not in person. Such a lovely guy, and the horses miss you. But that was interesting. Your old horse came through. So thank you very much. Have a lovely weekend. I hope the weather is kind to you. Take care, and see you in the near future. Thank you very much.